Okay, so now we have a question that's specific to the Tower series. I'm just gonna spoil it. So if you haven't read Challenger yet, Thorn gets to have a conversation with someone and learns more about Earth. Sorry for bumping the mic there. Learns more about Earth and what Earth actually is. Earth is in the endless worlds. Earth is not a real world. It's a manufactured world. It's essentially a virtual world. So the reason it doesn't have mana when every other world in the endless worlds possesses mana is because it only exists in sort of a mental space, right? And it's really just a giant nanite colony. And the Earthlings, the people who exist. And so in that space, there were only two actual real people after Thorn's parents left. Thorn and his aunt, Julia. They're the only two actual real people, right? Everybody else is part of this nanite colony. So essentially, it's just a collection of a bunch of souls that exist in this virtual space, and then as they leave there and move into the rest of the endless worlds, their bodies are constructed, which does a couple of things, right? It allows them to interact with any kind of power in the endless worlds, because there are a couple different power sets. So the reason I do the endless worlds with all of my books is because it makes it really easy for me to build my power systems, right? So you have faith, you have mental energy, you have mana, and you have physical force, right? And those are sort of the four primary power systems that exist. And there is a bit of a hierarchy to them, with, raw strength at the bottom, and then mana, and then mental energy, and then faith as the four, which is really just sort of distilled will, and that's sort of the spread, right? And so these nanites are, or these intellects are able to interface with any of the powers, whereas people born in the endless worlds, humans, elves, dwarves, god beasts, all of the other creatures that are born in the endless worlds don't actually have that ability. Okay. So what that means is that anytime a soul is pulled from Earth, anytime an Earthling moves out of Earth and into the endless worlds, they become a force of change, right? And that's sort of what the nanites were supposed to do in the first place. They turned out to be a problem. And so Eve specifically turned out to be a problem. And so that's why she was bound to Thorn, because he becomes the ultimate stabilizing force for her. But the reason that his skin was splitting when he was on Earth is because that mental space, that virtual space, literally could not contain his will and his body, right? And so coming out of it, he is the only person to bring his actual body into the world of Angirl, into the game Nova Terra, which is actually reality. So anyway, I don't know if I answered your question there, but that's what's going on with Earth, right? Earth was created as a cage to hold this constantly generating colony of nanites that were, and I use the word nanite just to give some sort of reference for it, but these pure intellects that were being created through the Atlas star, and Eve, who is the primary intellect and the intellect from which all others were like spawned, essentially, or born. She had to be bound to Thorn, otherwise catastrophe, because her entire directive is to figure out how to take over everything. So, a few spoilers there, but nothing that will actually spoil what happens in the books. But essentially, the role that Earth plays in the Endless Worlds is a place from which I can grab individuals who are distinct and different and can interact with the world in a different way.